Hi everybody, Mrs. J here. I'm going to walk you through the tutorial to make our cake pops. I've never made cake pops before. It's my very first time. I'm going to use a sheet cake. I made this out of a box mix, but you can certainly make it homemade. I've also seen people dip lots of different items into a candy melt mix. So we have our orange candy melt. That's what's going to be included in your bag, as well as the cake pop sticks. I wasn't able to include all the ingredients, so you'll need to have your own cake and your own frosting for this. But you can do a lot of different things. I've seen people dip Oreos into the candy melts to dye them orange and then decorate for basketball season. So you can really do whatever is most interesting for you. So I've got my hands washed here, and I am just going to transfer my sheet cake into a big bowl. And then I read that using, store-bought frosting works really well, but I didn't have any, so I just made some buttercream frosting. So I'm just going to go ahead and add that, and then I'm going to stir it. Oh, I'm going to stir it up really well. And then I am going to form it into those wonderful cake balls. So that's what I'm going to do now. I'm also going to be using my hands. There are lots of other tools you can use, but I read that working with your hands is easiest for the formation of the cake balls and for mixing this. So if this is making you squeamish, you might want to use a different tool for this. I imagine you could use a mixer, but I'm just going to kind of, like I would do for, homemade meatballs, just go ahead and mix my cake mix with my frosting. You can use any flavor cake mix. I just went with chocolate because that's what I had in my house. The smell's really good. Um, and this is going to yield a lot of cake balls. So I'm just mixing that real good. All right. So I've got my mixture here. So what I'm going to do next is roll them into the size balls that I want to, or pops that I would like to use for my basketballs. So I'm just going to take, a little, I don't know, I'm going to go, I guess, about this big here, roll it, and mine are not going to be perfectly shaped. I've seen people make cake pops out of an actual, there's like a machine that you fill the batter in, and it makes it a perfect circle. That is not what we're doing, because I don't have that, and some of you might not have that, but you can use that if you have that. So I'm just going to roll these into balls. I'm going to put my little lollipop stick in them, like so, and then I'm going to freeze them because they need to be kind of, firm before we dip them into the chocolate, which is the orange coloring and the orange candy melts. That's what's included in your bag. All right, so I'm just going to go ahead and do this now. Any of these as you want. You can go ahead and pop them into the freezer while you get the candy melt chocolate melted down. So again, I'm just rolling them into little balls, and you might decide to dip your candy melts in or dip some Oreos into your candy melts. You can do this in a lot of different ways, but now I'm just going to go ahead and transfer these to my freezer. All right, so I have my cake pops in my freezer, kind of cooling off here, and then I have my candy melts in a microwave safe container. You can use microwave safe bag. I'm going to melt these for 30 seconds at 50% power. You can also use the defrost setting. And if I overheat them, this will get too thick for the cake pop to actually, nicely cover with this. So I'm going to just do 30 seconds, stir until it's melted, and then we're going to go ahead and dip those cake pops. All right. All right, so I've had some time for my cake pops to freeze. I've got my candy melts melted down in a microwave safe container, and now I'm going to dip them and put them onto some parchment paper as I have my chocolate chips heating up in the microwave that I'm going to use to decorate them. All right, these are feeling nice and firm, so I'm just going to start with just one here and see how that goes. So I'm going to just dip it into the candy melt, kind of move it around a little bit here so it's covered, because, we want it to look like a basketball. And all right, and I'm trying to get all of the edges covered. Again, this is my first time. You may be an expert at cake pop decorating, but all right, for me, this is a big deal. Okay, because I've I've done this. I'm feeling very happy. All right, so here is my first cake pop. She's not pretty, but she's orange like a basketball. So I'm going to set her down, and then I'm going to repeat this step with all of my other cake pops. I've also seen some other recipes have they have the chefs or the bakers put the cake pop down on the parchment paper and then use a spoon to this is not a spoon. And they've used a spoon to kind of drizzle the cake or the candy melts on top. So it just really depends on what you want to do and how you want your basketball pops to look. I have a feeling that yours are going to look a lot better than mine. But here are just a couple of ways you can decorate them. So what I'm going to do next is try to make these look like a basketball. And I haven't used as much of the candy melts as you'll have in your bag, so I wanted to conserve that ingredient for you guys. So I'm just going to go ahead and do 3 of these. So I'm only working with 3 cake pops. They're not very pretty, but we're trying. So I'm going to try to take the one that I think looks the best and then decorate it as a basketball. So the way I'm going to do this is with some chocolate in a bag. You can also use a piping bag if you'd like, but I imagine some of you don't have that. So I'm going to go ahead and put the chocolate in the bag. You could also dye this if you had some black food coloring. Alright, so I've melted my chocolate down, and then I'm going to use a skewer to just poke a little hole. So you could do this with like a toothpick. And that is what I will use to pipe this decorative chocolate on. So since that is heated, I'm going to open the bag to do that. All right. Going to poke my little hole right there. Okay. And I'm just going to try to make those basketball stripes. And I really look forward to seeing your basketball cake pops and seeing what approach you take to decorate these. But I'm just going to go ahead and while these are sitting down, squeeze some chocolate out to decorate. I was not a basketball player. I think this is how a basketball looks. And there you have it. It's not perfect, but it sort of resembles a basketball. So that candy melt will dry really quickly, but here's my basketball cake pop. I have a feeling that it's going to taste a little better than it looks, but I hope you'll share a picture of your cake pop on our Padlet, and I'm going to taste test this in just a little while when my taste tester wakes up. Little teeth are having a hard time getting through the candy melt. Good? All right.